Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Lineup with Dave Prodan. I'm Dave Prodan, and we're here for episode 4. So far, across 3 episodes, we've had Peter Townend, Coco Ho, Debbie Beacham, and I want to say thank you to everyone that's subscribed and rated us. It really means a lot. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We're going to be dropping one of these every Friday from now until our sun becomes a red giant, consuming Mercury and Venus and frying the Earth in about 5 billion years, or some point between then and now. Additionally, our buddies at WSL Pure have just dropped their One Ocean podcast. It has a lot of fantastic information that might actually get us to that 5 billion years. So please search WSL Pure One Ocean in your podcast app of choice. Okay, episode 4. The following continues to be a topic that comes up both inside and outside the building, and for good reason. The violent pace with which the quote-unquote Brazilian storm has come to dominate the surfing world cannot be overstated. For almost 4 decades, Brazilian surfers have battled for the world title without success. And in the past 5 years, they've won 3 men's titles, and they're in a very strong position to win a 4th this season. And that's potentially spread out across 3 different surfers, which is really staggering when you consider the depth component. This isn't just some rogue talent like Medina taking on the world. This is a collective of world beaters. It's almost unbelievable. It's also a story that I feel like I have a personal association with because their rise to power came during my watch at the ASP/WSL. When I started in 2006, Adriano de Souza was a rookie and he finished 20th on the CT. And he was the highest placing Brazilian. He was next up followed by both Victor Ribas and Peterson Rosa, who finished equal 29th. Today, 14 of the last 21 men's CT events have been won by Brazil. 14. Of the last 21. That's 2/3. That is absolutely bananas. I may be one of the longer surviving lab rats at the WSL, but I haven't been around for that long, and that's a staggering shift in that amount of time. And as of this recording, 3 of the top 5 surfers heading into the final event of the year at Pipeline are from Brazil. We're very fortunate to be speaking to one of those surfers today. Someone who burst onto the international stage from relative anonymity at the 2011 U.S. Open Pro Junior in a to-be-discussed stacked final. Someone who immediately became a culture-shifting force on the qualifying series and qualified for the Elite Championship Tour at 17 years old, where he has since developed a reputation as the quote-unquote fastest surfer on Earth, all en route to claiming an impressive 8 CT victories so far. Please enjoy the Lineup's conversation with current WSL number 4 and 2019 world title contender, Filipe Toledo.
The good old clap, take one.
That's right.
How many of you knew what you wanted to be when you were 7 years old? I did. I wanted to be a world champion.
Hey, is there honesty involved in this podcast? Can we be honest?
You can shut your fucking lips.
And then I'll just say, put them up, what? Let's go.
He's like, you look too pretty on the wave. Get ugly.
We can talk about DMT if you want.
I thought you were boxing.
Okay, so I started with the ASP in 2006, and I was in North America. So like all the North America events were a big deal, and the media was a big deal. And I remember in 2011 going to the U.S. Open and the Pro Junior final having John Florence, Connor Coffin, Kolohe Andino, and this kid that no one knew, Filipe Toledo. He had awesome painted boards.
Yep.
And he smoked everybody. But tell me the story of that week when you beat everybody.
Wow, that was actually super funny. It was interesting because I was at that time I was sponsored by Billabong, and then I had like 6 months with no sticker on the nose on my board, and we're having conversations with different sponsors, and we ended up signing up with Nike at the time. So I was like, because from Ubatuba to Sao Paulo is like 4-hour drive. So like we drove 4 hours, got in Sao Paulo on Friday. We signed a contract. On Saturday, I was flying to California, for the U.S. Open. My first time ever in California. And so I got there and I was meeting all these people from Nike, like big bosses and, like athletes. I remember it was actually the first time I met Laura Never, Carissa Moore, Julian Wilson, Nat Young, all these guys. I was like, whoa, that's crazy, man. It's right here's the big deal. And I got the wild card for the junior and for the pro as well. And I could barely speak English at that time. You know, just hi, I want a coffee, cheeseburger, and Coca-Cola. That's it.
Essentials.
That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. So yeah, I got there. I was staying with Scooby and Alejo, and you know, it was my first heat. So nervous, new sponsor, all the bosses were over there. You know, at that time was sponsored by Nike, the event. And first heat, I surfed kind of well, and then you know, by the end, I was needing a score with 30 seconds. I took off in a wave and just went for a big air. You know, backhand air, and landed, got the score. You know, everyone was like, "Oh, that's cool, that's cool." And then since that first heat, till I got to the semifinal, every time I turned the heat with like a minute, 30 seconds, 45 seconds in the end. You know, like it was just so excited every time. You know, the heat, and it was. And then I got in the final with the three big names of North America, Kolohe, John, and Connor. And at that time, like I knew those guys. I know, like, oh, that's Kolohe, that's John and Connor, but it was not something that I was like, oh my god, like Mick Fanning, like Andy Irons. It was not something really huge for me. I was like, okay, yeah, I know their surf really good.
Beat them,
yeah. I know, they're pretty big names, but I mean, I got this. I was really excited, and it was fun. Like Kolohe started really well, I think, and then John got a wave, and I got one on the inside. Threw like a big air and landed. And on the way back, I got another insider, that gave me the same ramp, another big air, and got a pair of sevens, I think. And the best part of it was like when I was in the podium, got the trophy. And I remember the time, I think it was Dave. I think he was doing
Dave Stanfield.
Yes.
Yep.
And he asked me, now I know what he asked me, he was like, oh yeah, can you tell us about like how was your travel? How's your journey to get here? Like how's your week? Like how's the new sponsor, and how's, like to beat all these guys in the final. And as I said, I could barely speak English. I didn't even understand a word he asked me. And I was like, I had a phrase already in my mind, what I was going to say. I was like, thank you so much for everyone. I'm super stoked. And what I say? And then I was like, thank my sponsors and thank you, my family. That was it. And everyone's laughing so hard. I was like, well, okay. I didn't even understand what was going on. But that was funny. That was probably the main event, for me to show up in the international media.
I mean, do you look back and think that week like transformed your entire life in
For
a lot
sure.
of ways?
For sure, yeah. For sure. First time I actually did an interview in English.
It's funny you say that. I mean, I don't really know of any instance where, like, so say like it was reversed and John or Kolohe or Connor went to Sao Paulo and won. Like, they wouldn't ask them the question in Portuguese.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
different, right?
It's it's English, it's global language, and everyone gotta speak English.
Yeah,
We're gonna try to change that, since we're majority on tour right now.
Well, it's funny because this came up. I was talking to one of the elder Australian statesmen from the industry, and he was really praising Brazil,
Mhm.
Obviously. And we were asking about the Australian class on tour right now. And his opinion was, well, it actually took like 30 years for Brazil to lay the groundwork to have the Brazilian Storm. Flavio and Neko and those guys really laid the track for you guys to come on in such a big way. Is that something you guys think about?
Oh yeah, that's for sure. If it wasn't by all these guys, Fabio, Flavio, and even Neko, that was on tour, and all these guys, they opened the door for us to be here today. And it was different times. Like at that time there were just surfing. It was not something really professional or something that you needed to train and get really focused, and it was just for fun. They're making money out of it and just partying and traveling places and just enjoying the moment. And then once we got our chances, we're like, wow, okay, it's it's different. We can actually live from surfing. We can buy a house, we can get our family together. It was something bigger. We understood that, and we were just like, okay, let's do it. Let's make it happen. Let's train, let's focus, and let's, enjoy this, but at the same time, like, take it super serious, because there was only one chance for us, I think, to really go over there and, and win and get all the sponsors and get opportunities. And because coming from Brazil, all those guys, they didn't have any opportunities. You know, it was always super hard for them to get a major sponsor, like a really big sponsor that was going to support them the whole year, or different equipment, you know, like a brand new board or a brand new leash and all this, you know, these little things that today we have. So yeah, I think that's why we're taking more in a professional way, you know.
Right. When I started on tour, it was 05, 06. And it's kind of like you go to a new school
Yep.
and it's the cafeteria and like no one wants to eat with the new kid.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't like, you know, at night or in the morning you'd rock up and be like, Kelly, move over. Like, let's share a milkshake together or something. Like, and at the time, Adriano was on tour and Heitor and Neko.
Okay.
And I got really close with them.
Yeah.
Like, because they were really open to it and they had really interesting stories. And I feel like at the time, most of the surfing world wasn't paying attention to it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's one of those things that I think the information age, like the internet, everything, if you think 25 years ago, the only time you'd get to see world-class surfing was when the tour came to town.
Yep.
And now everyone has access to training, shaping, equipment. They get to see the world's best surfers all the time. So the development, regardless of where you're from, is about the same. And so the point of difference really becomes like motivation.
Yep.
Right. And I think would you agree that that's like a big thing for why Brazil's been so successful?
Yeah, you know, I agree with you. It's a good example of that. It's Jaddy, you know, Jadson. You know, he has a family of 9 people, you know, that he has to take care of.
Yeah.
House and, you know, bills and put food in their houses. And, you know, it's that big thing that motivates Jadson to, you know, requalified to back-to-back years and, you know, do the QSs, been in the road forever, and do the CTs and go here and go over there, and you know, like it takes a lot from you, you know. It is the dream tour. It's amazing to be in the tour, go beautiful places, but it takes a lot from you, you know. And to be doing that for so many years, you know, like Adriano, like Jaddy, you know, Raoni did, Neko, you know, all these guys. There was definitely something behind them, you know, motivating them. You know, like family, or it was just a kid, or, you know, just a house or a bill that he needed to pay. You know, it's like, even if it was like really small, but it was just like, that's my chance right there. You know, like one heat, you know, I can pay the bill and have a little extra money to make it to another contest. You know, that was the main thing.
And it's funny you say that. Like, I think that hunger is like maybe the most important characteristic. And if you look back at all the world champs, like men's and women's, for like 43 years, none of them necessarily came from a lot. You know, I remember even in Kelly Slater's book, like he would talk about his early years on tour, and he'd be like, "Wow, if I make another heat, I can buy like a couch, for my house." You know, like, and it's a huge thing.
It sounds so small. It's just a couch, but it's just like it's my opportunity, you know, like to make that heat and get a really good couch from a house. That's you know, I think still like that nowadays. You know, even though like. You see Gabriel, like millions of followers. Even me got, you know, a couple thousand of followers. It's just like, oh, okay, he got sponsors and everything, but we still have a life, you know, bills to pay and everything. So that's why we, you know, I think the Brazilian Storm has been so successful in, you know, in everything.
For sure. And your dad's a great surfer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not today, but.
But he was a national champ, right?
Yeah, I was like 2-3 times Brazilian champ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So dad got you into surfing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the one that put me on the surfboard with 9 months.
9 months.
Yeah, I was like.
All right, so everyone listening to this, that's the standard.
But he didn't. It's funny because he didn't force us to be like surfer, you know, because I surf, my younger brother surf, my older brother surfs, and she didn't force anything, you know, on us. We're like, okay, let's go beach day. We had a ball. We had, you know, like all those other toys, and we had a surfboard as well.
Yeah.
You know, whenever we wanted to play with the surfboard,
it
was there, you know?
We see it a lot. I'm sure you've seen it a lot too. And as surfing gets bigger, you see a lot of parents really pushing.
Yeah.
Like, you have to surf.
Yeah.
And you're a father now too. And so am I, you know, and it's one of those things where it's like, I've seen it go bad so many times. It's like, if you don't want to surf, that's okay.
Kid gets like 12 years of age, he goes like, I hate surfing. I don't want to do it anymore.
Of course,
because you're pushing way too hard.
Yeah. Did you guys ever do anything else, like soccer or anything?
I try to do everything.
Yeah.
With them, you know, they took them to swim class, to play guitar, to soccer, volleyball, whatever they want to do. You know, like, they see things on TV or, just on YouTube thing, just watching and it's like, oh, I want to do this. I want to go dance. It's like, yeah, let's go. Just take them to classes everywhere, whatever they want to do. I mean, I'm not here to force them to like, no, I was a surfer. You got to be a surfer. You got to be a surfer. Of course, I was going to be really happy if they're surfers,
Of course.
but
What about when you were a kid? Did you ever have anything else that maybe not distracted, but you were like, maybe I'll be a soccer player, or maybe I'll do this?
yeah, I used to play soccer every day.
What was your
Every
position?
day. I was always in the front. I was always
Fast.
trying to score. But because where I used to live, we had like a little, a soccer field, small one.
Mm.
It was just like the guys from, this little. It was like 4 or 6 streets that everyone was so tied together. Every day is like go to houses, calling everyone to go play soccer or, just walk around and do things. And it was something really fun. Sometimes I was like, no, I'm not surfing today. I'm just playing soccer.
Sure.
It was just something fun, and my dad wasn't forcing me. And I think that's why it turned out to be so natural for me to like, oh, okay. One day I was like, whoa, this feeling is like it's something different.
Right.
That soccer doesn't give me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, we're out there. Let's go. I'm a surfer.
Yeah. And so you become a surfer, and you're right, like that, it hooks you, and it's like, this is different than anything else I got. So I'm going to do this forever, whether I'm a professional or not.
Yeah.
Walk me through that feeling to realizing you were really good to being like, this could be my career. Like, what did that look like for you?
So, I think there was like 2 times of my life that I remember. One was like I was about 7 or 8 years old, and I was competing on the amateur events in São Paulo State, and I won like 2 or 3 events, and then it was like 4 events, total, and then I got second in the last one, and I still won the rankings and everything, so I was a champion. Like it was the under 10. I was like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. Like, oh, I want to be a surfer. At that time I was like, okay, I want to be a surfer. That's for sure. And then, all those years went by, and then I was like 15 to 16 years old. I did my first professional event in Brazil. It was a national one. And, I was just making true heats, and I got in the quarterfinals. My dad goes like, okay, in the quarterfinals, if you win, I would do like a really bad haircut, And that thing motivated me, I was like, okay, now I'm going to win. Now, man, you're done. And then I went there, I won the whole thing. It was funny because I made the semifinal with Holly Batista, which used to be in the QSs, and Luel Felipe, which is still competing nowadays. And I won the event. And that day, I was like, okay, I want to be a professional surfer.
Right.
Now, like that's I'm going to start my career right here, as a professional surfer. So that day I turned out to be, a professional surfer. We went to ASP, we paid Abrasp, which was the Brazilian Association. We paid the tax, and it was like, okay, now I'm a professional surfer.
What did Dad's haircut look like?
He was like Ronaldo in the World Cup. Remember that? Just a little thing here in front.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Well, Ronaldo looked cool at the time, but not my dad.
Yeah. Well, it's a look.
It was funny.
So at that time, you were surfing for Billabong.
I was surfing for Billabong at the time.
And what did Mom and Dad do at the time? Did you guys, for work, did you guys come from a lot or
So yeah, my dad worked at how do you call he worked for the city.
Yep.
And he used to be a surf teacher.
Oh, okay.
And every day from 8 to 12, and then from 2 to 6, he was working every day at the beach.
Yep.
And so he did that for 11 years, and my mom was just, doing things at home. Yeah, taking care of the family. She actually helped a lot. She did like even, like Brigadeiro. You know what Brigadeiro?
No.
From, it's like a chocolate thing, we do in Brazil.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay, so she used to do that to sell on the beach, while my dad was working, and she did that to help. She used to, buy like girl sandals and put like little rocks, shiny rocks on that, do a couple of designs and sell that as well. And she did a little bit of everything to help us. But my dad used to do that, and he used to be sponsor at that time as well, just a little sponsor, like $500, you know, a month, and nothing much. And then I got on Billabong really young. I was like 9, I think, or a little less, like 8 or 9, yeah. And then, you know, it was just a little amount of money as well, just to help at home. And, you know, even that money I was using to help my mom and dad to pay, you know, a couple bills, and used to get money borrowed from my grandma, you know, and my grandpa, you know, get checks and everything to go, you know, to the contest.
Right.
And yeah, that was pretty much it. My dad used to be a surf teacher, and my mom was just a housewife.
Did it make you, how did it make you feel to be able to earn money from surfing and then give that back to the broader family, to be like, cool, I'm helping? Is it?
Oh, it's amazing. You know, I even talk about that with them the other day, you know, just like, I don't want you guys to feel like, you know, like pressured by me, you know, like, oh, I'm here, we're here, you know, like you're, you know, giving money for us to leave here. You don't have to, you got your family already. I'm like, you guys, I'm here because of you guys today, you know, like,
Yeah.
You guys did everything you guys could for me to be here. And of course, if it wasn't you guys, I don't know what it was going to be, you know?
Of course.
And, you know, I'm like super, super proud to, you know, today help them, you know, have a really good life here in California. And, you know, they have like 2 cars. I have my car, and, you know, they have a house. I have one, and, you know, everything's working so good. And, you know, with all the sponsors I have too, been supporting me a lot. And, you know, for me to be able to give them a really good life. And, you know, even my 2 younger my brother and my sister are going to college right now, you know, doing a really good thing. I was like, you know, Batuba, if they finish school, what are we going to do? You know, like,
Yeah.
just hanging in there with all the other kids, you know, that's staying there in Batuba as well. They're, you know, every time I go back, they're in the same spot doing the same thing, you know, just like, they don't change, you know?
Yeah.
Because of course it's so hard back
just
there.
Opportunity,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
That's an amazing story, just from the, I mean, because they're still very involved in your success as well.
Yeah.
So you guys roll really deep, and a lot of people on tour do. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of people have really big support mechanisms.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
and as you
it's
said,
been
like,
cool.
I mean, I don't know, was that ever a goal, or when did that become a goal for you to say, I'm going to be really good at this, and I'm going to get, wherever it was, I'm going to get my family to a place where they have all these opportunities?
I actually never thought about that. You know, it was just something natural that happened. You know, we went to Hawaii the year that I qualified, 2012.
Mm-hmm.
It was because I got in Hawaii, and, you know, I got the news that I was on tour on the next year, and they were over there with me. And then we're just over there cruising, you know, and going around, and, you know, surfing and doing, you know, the Triple Crown. And then they were like, "Oh, Hawaii's really cool, man. We should move to Hawaii and leave here." I was like, "Okay, you guys go back to Batuba, you know. I'm not leaving over there." And then, well, next year I went to my dad to Australia, and he goes like, "Oh man, Australia's so cool. We should move here, you know, it's amazing." I was like, "Man, you kidding me? Like, no, that's not happening, you know. I love you, Batuba. I love being with my friends, you know, I'm not leaving." And then the middle of the year we went to Treso event, and then it was actually there was a CT event. So we were there, and then I was like, my mom and dad was with me, and I was like, "Oh, this place is so amazing. I think that's probably the only place that I could leave." And they were like, "Okay, we're
Sold.
moving, you know, let's go." And then next thing, 2014, we start, you know, doing all the paperwork. And,
Immigration process.
oh, it takes a lot, you know, it's so many things to do, and it takes a lot of time. And in 6 months, we had everything. And, you know, we came up with the idea, you know, moving the family to Bob Hurley and Brendan Gilmer at Patacono. And they were like, "Amazing. Come on, we help you guys," you know. And we're like, "Whoa," you know, we never thought that was going to be that easy. And they were like helping us with, you know, housing, like renting a house and getting, you know, like all the paperwork and everything. So July 17, it was our first day here in California. Yeah.
You remember?
I remember that.
Yeah. That's amazing.
It was right after my mom's birthday.
What a birthday present.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It's a funny story about, like, everywhere we go on tour, your family's like, we could live here, we can live here.
Yeah.
My dad traveled for work too, and when I started traveling for the job, he was like, "Yeah, I traveled a lot. Like, you travel a lot. Like, I traveled to Cincinnati. Like, everywhere you go is really nice. Like, you don't get to complain." but it's a little bit like that. Like you it is a dream tour in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I mean, we're actually, in one spot for like 2 weeks. Of course, everything was going to be amazing. Just like, okay, 2 weeks here was amazing. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And then, like, okay, now imagine here for the rest of your life,
Yeah.
traveling, going places. And, they understand that too. And they're like, okay, we can't just do that. Just go, like, and then I think San Clemente, California it was a blessing for us.
Of course.
Yeah.
You mentioned Pat O'Connell and Bob Hurley and Brandon Gilmat, who they're integral to the Hurley program, of which you're still very much a part of. But you were one of the pillars of a really world-class Nike surfing program. And in 2011, it was maybe the biggest story of the year where those programs combined. And that happened, I think, in Hawaii in November, December. Tell us that story of A, being a part of the Nike program, and B, getting the news and joining the Hurley family.
Yeah, it was, as you said, it was a world-class program. Being with Nike, it was only, just a few athletes. I remember me, Nat Young, Julian, Alejo, Kolohe was, he was over there at the time. I think it was just a few surfers, not many people. And then we got the news, everything was combining, everyone's going to be in the same team as, Hurley, major sponsor. And, it was just like, okay, well, I'm still here. I'm still having the sticker on the nose on my board. I'm still with the contract and everything. And I mean, it didn't really change for me that much. It was just extra teammates, for me. But it was definitely, a year that I spent with Nike being like really, really amazing.
Sure.
Like another level of treatment, like just as you said, world class. It was really cool.
How do you get along with your teammates at Hurley, or I guess and even other programs like Sharp Eye or Monster or whatever? Hurley's probably the most appropriate one because it's such a big international team. Do you get competitive with them for results or clips, or is it more kind of friendly? Like how do you guys get along?
No, it's pretty easy actually.
Maybe for you.
No, yeah. Not for the other ones, maybe. But I mean, I just I take it as a as a family. They're my sponsors. And I got a contract, and nothing's gonna change that. Unless I'm not doing the things that they want me to do. And I feel like creating that that little competitive thing between us. I don't think it's going to help. Like, way we're doing like, oh, we want to do a trip with everyone, or just getting a trip. Someone's trying to be more and, like it gets in a situation which everyone is uncomfortable. I'm not like that. I just, I try to get everyone together and, everyone to be really happy. And, whoever gets the best photo, he got the best photo, it was his day, or got the best clip, whatever. I just want to surf and, do really good for them. But, they're always super cool. Michelle, Julian, Ace, Kolohe, all the guys, they're always super, super fun and super friendly, especially with me, that came from Brazil, living here, probably the youngest one on the team. They, they really took me as a family, so that was really cool.
And it was such an interesting sequence of events, right? Because the teams combined in the end of the year, and then right at the start of 2012 they announced they signed John, which is like, whoa, these are already a really big team, and now you've got John. But you and John seem like you're really close. Like when he was filming A View from a Blue Moon, like he made an effort, but part of the plan was going to Brazil, and you guys filmed a segment together. Like, what's your relationship like to John?
Oh yeah, it was actually really cool to be a part of that. He, when he called me to do that, he was like, hey man, you want to be a part of the movie? I was like, oh yeah, for sure, man, of course. And I think that trip really got us super close to each other. It was just me and him, there was no other surfer together. So it was my chance to really get to know him, and him to get to know me, and we're just sharing experiences and surfing and pushing each other. And it was a trip like really really fun and productive, I want to say. And since that trip, we're always texting and talking to each other, surfing, whenever we had a chance, and filming together, my filmer got really close to his filmer. You know, they were like, texting each other as well, and and I think he's kind of like me. You know, always in the good vibes and trying to get everyone together, trying to make everyone happy and caring about people. And I think that's why we're like, we kind of got together about that.
I think knowing John a little bit, like, I think he really thrives when he's around people that he knows do something better than him, and he's not been shy about praising how fast you surf and how progressive you are, and obviously your aerial abilities, and he feeds off of that. And I think, a lot of times in the past, you see a lot of people qualify for the tour and they go, I did it. I'm a world-class surfer. But it's such a huge level jump between the QS to the CT. And you compare that with someone like Adriano and others. And Adriano qualifies and he goes, no, I have a lot to learn. Like, I'm not a complete surfer. And he develops this incredible power-based game. And he spends, the winter living with Jamie O'Brien and then wins the Pipe Masters. Is that how you approach surfing too? Do you try to drive off of people that you think, oh, maybe that part of the surfing I can work on? Is that?
Yes, definitely. It's something that I, try to do every day, is improve and try to get better at everything I do, especially surfing. And I know I'm not the best surfer in the world, for people, being fans, there's like, oh, you're the best surfer in the world, like, okay, yeah, okay, I could be really good at what I'm doing right now, but there's a lot to learn still and a lot to improve. Like, being honest here, I don't know when the next Kellis Later is coming. I mean, I'm not the next Kellis Later, that's for sure. That's a fact. And it's, it's one in a million that, comes to win 11 world titles. But, I know I have the potential to win world titles, and, I know what I need to get better, what I need to improve. And that's what I think people, when qualify, when they get on tour, they look, at their surfing and they go like, okay, there's like 5 points I need to improve. Here are the 5 points. Okay, I'm gonna go Chopu, spend like a month. I'm gonna go to Pipeline. If it's rail work, go Bells, go J-Bay. You go try and improve every day. You try new boards, and there's a lot of things that can actually improve. And Adriano, it's a good example of that. He spent like 4 months in Hawaii, 5 months in Hawaii, pretty much surfing with the best, out there, and hard work pays off. You won the world title and Pipe Masters.
It does happen a lot. Like, I think a lot of times, especially because there's more attention on surfing now, surfers from the previous generation, people presume like they were complete surfers when they arrived. But, Mick and Joel openly admit that when they were rookies, they couldn't backhand barrel ride, and they did what you said, they would go to Chopu and spend 4 to 6 weeks outside the event.
Well,
and just get comfortable.
That's the only way you can actually improve surfing,
Yeah.
It's being in the ocean, spending time out there. There's no other way. Like, it's not watching clips on the internet that you're gonna get good. You gotta be out there. You gotta surf, and because every wave's gonna be different. Every day is gonna be different. It's not the wrench. That way, just every wave is gonna be perfect. You can actually try the next one, try the next one, and get better. Here, at the ocean, it's something different. Tides and winds and everything. So you gotta spend time out there.
Do you think you're the fastest surfer in the world?
I mean, I don't know, man. It's hard to say that, but
I'll say it. I know I'm not the only one. But on that note, I remember vividly your rookie year, because you've had these seismic moments in your career, and we've talked a lot about them. And I mean, and even in the qualifying year, I remember you doing like 8-foot backhand rotation at Merriweather, like, and people like lost their minds. You were in the orange wetsuit, and everyone's like, oh my God. So I think people always knew that you were a complete game changer as far as aerial surfing. But I remember your rookie year, we were at Bells, and I think it was clean, but kind of small, like maybe 3 to 4 foot rincon. And people were like, oh, I don't remember who you had, but people were like, oh, I don't think he's an air guy. But because you're so fast, people were blown away by your rail game. Like, would you consider speed like one of your greatest assets, whether it's in the air or on the face?
Yes, I agree with you. It's what I try to do in the wave, go as fast as I can. And with that, have the flow to, go through turns and not digging the rail, and, making sure I have enough speed to do a big turn, and at the same time gets more speed at the bottom, so I have enough speed up there at the lip. So I think that's, that's something really hard, to have enough speed to, like, go as fast, as you can. And people look at it as like, oh my God, he's so fast. and then at the same time have the flow, to go between turns. And I think that's one, major point of my surfing right now.
Yeah. I mean, and speed in surfing or competitive surfing used to be associated with that surfer's really fast. Look, he did 20 turns.
Yeah.
But now it's like that surfer's so fast, he's doing like 5 massive turns.
Yeah.
And I think the judging criteria has done a good job over the last decade of rewarding power and innovation and just seeing like the best surfing as opposed to quality over quantity.
Yeah, for sure. I felt like it's funny to watch, like especially J-Bay, if you watch Mick Fanning doing like 4 huge carves, and then you see like another guy, blowing the tail, coming like 1 carve floater, hitting the lip and, just like little reverse. And then you go like, well, it's like way cooler to watch Mick doing like 4 huge turns than, see the guy hitting the lip and, like doing reverses at J-Bay. And then you hear the scores like score way higher for Mick Fanning than the other guy, But I feel like sometimes it's definitely, the rail surfing and the power and the old school style, it definitely comes to play better than, like some of the other surfing, just like tricky surfing, I want to say.
Yeah.
But of course, depends on the conditions as well,
You mentioned before that, Kelly's sort of a unique, like 1 in a million people's ever going to do. That's probably a bigger number. But, every year there's tens of thousands of kids that compete like in junior, right? And a very small percentage of them ever even compete on the QS. And then an even smaller percentage ever qualify. And then an even tinier percentage ever even win an event.
Yep.
And you've won a bunch of CT events. There's a big difference between that big group and someone who can win a CT. Like that's really special.
Yeah, even nowadays there's people that have been on the tour forever and haven't won CTs yet.
Yeah.
And
there were always people like that.
Yeah, and it's actually really, really hard.
Yeah.
And it was definitely really special for me. And I actually never thought about that. It's funny to think about that right now and just really like, oh, I've won like what, 7, 8 already, and it's just like, whoa, there's people here like in 10 years on tour and they never won one. And yeah, it's I'm beyond grateful, and blessed to win a couple events and to actually be, 2 years in a row now fighting for world title. And it's hard. It's so hard, as you said, coming from the QS, it's a totally different venue environment to, like you surf QS is like 4 or 5 foot waves that you struggle sometimes, which is like super windy and bad and, like not the best conditions. And you got on tour, there's going to be one event that's going to be really bad sometimes, but sure. Most of it's going to be perfect waves, like pumping. They always choose the best days. And we got like 10 days waiting period that we can choose the best day. And how that guy that been on the QS for like 10 years, going to get there on the first year win an event. It's so hard to do that. Yeah. And that guy that can actually do that, he's a really good surfer, to adapt, from one thing that he was so used to do to just a completely different new thing, like new criteria, new way of surfing, new waves, and different routine and all that, but that was actually a big thing for me, because I know, I was being honest with me, and when I qualified I was like, am I ready to do that, right. Like,
and you were 7
I was 16 to 17.
Yeah, that's young, man.
Yeah, so I was like, well, I don't think I'm ready to do that. Like Mick Fanning was surfing, Andy Ireland surfing, Joel, Kelly. I was like, frick, what I'm doing here. And I was just like, okay, I'm just, going to surf and try to improve and watch them and see what's going on and just try to learn, and that's what I did, because I had so many people just like, oh, you're not ready. You're not going to last 1 year in there. I was like, man, I don't need to hear that, I'm going to do it for myself, not for you guys. And I did it, I survived the first year.
Yeah.
And the second year was better. Third year was a little better, like just improving every year. And now, I mean, I'm not saying I'm a complete surfer, but I feel like from this year, like today and, first year I got on tour, I'm like 200% better.
I mean, you're also, because you qualified 16, 17, you're also physically becoming like a man, and that's a big deal.
Growing muscles and getting heavier and training and
you have to calibrate your equipment because you're getting bigger, and you kind of just have to settle into that. I think that's one of the big things that is unappreciated is the level that jumps between the QS and the CT. Like even before I was working here, I was like an asshole because it's like you watch the events and you're like, number 44 sucks.
not watching his hit.
But and then you go and you like, you know, and then I get a job and I'm like, I better be nice. And you go out and you surf with them and you're like, that's the best surfer I've ever seen in my life.
God, what is he doing in the water?
It's crazy.
Yeah,
it is
insane.
crazy. But do you think there is maybe a level between the top 5 and the rest of the 34? Or do you feel like it's one of those things where on any given day, anyone can beat anyone else?
I think, you know, what makes that difference, you know, it's the start of the year sometimes, you know, that first half, you know, the ranking starts really good and, you know, a couple wins, semifinals, final. And then by the middle of the year, you know, there's that 5 or 6 guys that kind of projecting for a world title race. And I think, you know, what makes the difference, it's how you absorb that pressure, that all those people looking at you and sucking your energy in some way, asking you to do a lot, or, you know, just cheering for you in a way that you're like, oh my God, I got to do it. You know, I got to do it. I got to better be good. I got to win an event. And that's when the best one's going to win the world title, you know, like psychologically sane, you know.
I think it's really similar. Andy Irons said this a long time ago. He said, everyone wants you to win your first world title.
Yep.
And as soon as you do, everyone wants you to lose. And it's probably, you can apply that to being in the front.
Yeah.
You know, you're in the front right now.
Yeah.
Do you like being in the front or do you like to be hunting?
You know, it's a hard question. Everyone wants to be number one position, but once you get there and then you actually feel how gnarly it is to be number one.
Spotlight.
Yeah. You know, have a target on your back. Everyone's trying to hit that target. You're just like, oh my God, you know, gotta make heat. You know,
Yeah. You got to do more press. You got to do more sponsor things.
There's so many more obligations that you got to do, you know, and that's what I did to myself last year. I think, you know, I put so much pressure on my back, and you're just like, I have to, I have to make hits. I have to win this event. Just watching, you know, the other guys, he's just like, oh my God, he's gonna make it, and then be mad that he make his heat. I was like, what? You know, like this year, and then I did that. I was like, why I was doing that? You know, so dumb. You know, like, and I mean, this year it don't really matter being number one or being number 2 or 3. What really matters to me, it's surf, and if I'm happy. You know, if I'm not happy, it doesn't really matter. You know, if I'm number one and I'm just like struggling, just like psychologically, just, oh man, you know, like, oh, you're not living life, you know, not enjoying surfing the way I actually do every time I'm free surfing. And that's what I'm doing this year. Just taking that pressure off, just like relaxing and surfing and enjoying and actually being happy for my, you know, the other competitors, not just for the Brazilian or my friends, you know, just for the other guys, just like, oh man, that was sick. That wave was insane. He should have made that heat. And you're just like, you know, cheering for them. And as soon as I started doing that, everything started working way better for me. The answer for a question is like, I don't really matter being number 1 or being number 3. It feels good to be number 1, of course. Have that yellow jersey, you know, I think I look cool in yellow. I think sometimes being the underdog, it's kind of more, you know, like more relaxing, you know, position to like, okay, I don't got nothing to lose, you know, like, and just gonna go there and smash that guy and be number 1. But you know, it's hard when you're number 1, you actually feel that pressure.
But as you said too, like, you've learned something. You're always learning things, you know, and it sounds like you've at least analyzed last year, and now you're applying that to this year.
Yeah.
I want to talk about one more thing, because family is something that's come up a lot, and it's something that's super important to you.
Yep.
And you're a father now. Explain to me a little bit about your motivation in terms of performance, both in competition, out competition, just as a surfer, before and after becoming a father.
You know, when you're single and you don't have kids or a wife or none of these obligations, you're just like, okay, I'm cruising, I'm surfing, enjoying life. If I want to do a surf trip, I'll do a surf trip. Or, you know, like, okay, I got my mom and dad here, but they're all Sado, you know, I got them. They're really good. They're living their lives. And once you have a wife and 2 kids and a house and, you know, all these obligations, you're like, okay, now it's game on. And you look at your kid every time you come back from contests and you have like 4 days at home, you're just like, oh man, I'm going again, you know, like, and you're just that energy when you're home, when you have your kids with you, you know, you do it for them. It's no matter what's gonna happen, you're gonna do it for them. And you know, it's funny sometimes for me, you know, like 3 minutes remaining, I still need to score, I'm losing, and you know, I just close my eyes, think about them. You're just like, you get that energy from them. They're at home, and just that energy comes from home. You know, it's just like, okay, let's go. It's still like a minute and a half now. I can get the score, and it's something different. It's family, man. Family changes you, and being a father, there's so many things that I'm scared off to do right now. Like just even surfing, competing. Like Tahiti, I was like, man, what if something happens to me? I'm not gonna see my family again. But at the same time, you're like, I'm here doing for them, and okay, I'm gonna go. It's like. But it's really fun, man. It's amazing. There's nothing that I wanted more to be in my life than being a dad and having a family to take care of and a family to take care of me on the hard times. And and actually when I get back home, I'm not going places trying to find people and parties and all that. I just go home, and I know I have my really happy place over there. It's something
awesome,
really
man.
special.
All right. Before you go, we're gonna do the lightning round.
All right.
All right.
What is it? I'm scared.
You should be. Find the thing. Okay. Lightning round questions. So 10 questions. You answer them as fast as you can.
Okay.
One board setup for the rest of your life: single fin, twin fin, thruster, quad, bonzer, or finless.
Oh, twin fin.
Twin fin.
Twin fin.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Burrito or pizza?
Damn, son. Come on. Oh, I go pizza. Brazilian pizza.
Oh, what's the difference?
There's much more filling in it.
Oh, all right.
Oh, yeah. It's like
Okay.
proper. You should try when you're in Brazil.
Doesn't Jadson have a pizza company?
Oh, yeah, he does.
Okay, I'll ask him.
He gets pizza for free, man.
I'm going to ask him.
I know.
Last book you read?
I don't even remember.
Best surf film ever?
Best surf film ever? 3 Degrees.
One wave you never have to go back to?
I've never have to go back to.
One wave you don't want to go back to?
Okay, that took too much already. I don't know.
If you only get to surf one wave for the rest of your life?
For the rest of my life,
Mhm.
J-Bay.
J-Bay. Best person to share a lineup with?
The War II surfer.
Worst person to share a lineup with?
Oh God. Okay, I'll go back on the
all right,
first question.
Best person to share a lineup with?
Okay, my brother,
Worst person to share a lineup with?
a War II surfer.
That is a consistent answer. Last one. Finish this sentence. I will next achieve a state of happiness by...
Winning a world title.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah, brother.
All right, that is it. That is our conversation with the one and only Felipe Toledo. I hope you enjoyed it. I also hope you tune in to watch Felipe battle Italo Ferreira, Gabriel Medina, Jordy Smith, and Kolohe Andino at the final event of the year, the Billabong Pipeline Masters. You can watch that live on worldsurfleague.com or the WSL app. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the lineup wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be back next Friday, and we'll talk to you then.